Good evening, and bonsoir tout le monde. I am Alanis Obomsawin. I am a Wabanaki woman, and our territory originally was all of New England in the US, the Maritimes in Canada, and part of the province of Quebec. The archaeological finds in Maine, New Brunswick, Quebec, and Vermont date back 11,000 years. Then came the English, so did the French and the Dutch. There were wars for 300 years, and our people were pushed off their land. My name is Alanis Obomsawin. I am a Wabanaki woman, which is, they called us North American Indians. And I was born in the States, but I was raised in Canada on a reservation of my own people, which is called Odanak. I've traveled quite a bit in my life and been singing and making films. Well, at first, I was singing these songs for a long time when the chants, and the CBC made the album at first, and then I wanted to have control over it, and I made my own, and CBC was kind enough to let me use the track as much as I wanted to, and I just changed the music for Bush Lady. And I was very happy because I thought, many people tape me, they make money, and me, I never, it's usually you don't know, and all this stuff. So I was very pleased, but then I was distributing, and then I got very embarrassed doing that because I had to go to the stores and sell the record, and then had to go and collect. And I thought, oh, I can't do this. So I packed everything and I never touched it. This young man at the film board who saw it and got very excited, and he sort of, it's no longer a ghost because of him. His name is Fred Savard. And
how did he?
He saw the pochette, the cover of it in someone's office, and he got very curious, and it was very funny, actually. I was so shocked, I couldn't believe it. And now a lot of people are buying this long-playing record, and this is how I got here. It really is like I had buried it, and I wasn't going to touch it. I still sing, but I don't do big concerts anymore. So it's hard, because I go through all the time and the story and the tradition, and it's hard for me because I feel everything inside myself, and I don't have the quality of singing and just feel it's okay. I always get very worried. Either I wrote them or some are traditional that I sing. And I wrote them because of the reality of the life of our people. And Bush Lady is obviously a very important one. And we've had for many generations, many of the women especially have disappeared and have been killed and tortured in a lot of cases, and abused sexually. And now I'm hearing it's not just women, it's also young men and people who are disabled that are being abused, and it's just so heartbreaking. And there's an inquiry that's going on now, but it took years and years before we went this far. And I think a lot of people in Canada are very concerned about this story. So when I sing Bush Lady, I'm not able to do it. It's not just something easy for me to do. Hey, how, hey, how, hey, how, hey, how, hey, hey, how, hey, how, hey, how, hey, how, hey, how, Come to the city. It all has to do with education when you look at the root of things. For a very long time, the education about our people was really created to make other people hate us. It's hard to say that, but that's a fact. And so it meant that young children went to school and learned we were savages, and we went around scalping people and how bad people we were, and how our language was a Satan's language. So people have been educated that way, so that reflects how they behave towards us. And so for a very long time it's been very difficult for all our nations. And it's changing now. There's a very, very big change that's happening right now, especially since the last 5 years. The interest you have, I know, I don't just have an impression, I know that in our case, for instance, Canadians really want to see justice and want to hear what the true story is, and it's happening at this moment. And we're going through big changes. I'd say we've never been there before, and it's more than hope. It's a very profound feeling for our people, and we have the impression that people are really listening to us. So it's a very different time. Well, the reservations do go under different laws. First of all, in 1876, the Indian Act came into being, and it was written by the government, and it was very oppressive and very racist. And there were laws like we were not allowed to gather more than 3 people. If you gathered, like let's say you had 15 people or more, you were arrested. And I think it was because the government at the time thought if they allow us to gather, they thought with revenge and we're organized. And it was all those things that were going on. And it was not until 1948 when the United Nations got together and created the human rights movement that Canada was forced to look at how they were treating their Indigenous people. And it was then, for the first time, there was an amendment in the Indian Act that canceled the rule that we were not allowed to get together, no powwow, no ceremonies, no religious, spiritual ceremonies. It was all, if it lasted, it's because there are people that kept doing it underground, hiding. But when they would be found, they'd be arrested. So in 1951 was the first time that we, for instance, could go to the university without denying our race, because previously to 1960 we were not Canadian citizens. So all those things has created a way of life for our people that was very oppressive and very difficult. And so now we have changed. That has happened, and more is happening. And as I said before, those things are not relevant anymore. So as a result, we have people from all different nations that are free and can do their ceremonies, can have speak their own language without being punished, and all those things. Well, some traditions have been preserved secretly, and a lot of it is coming back now. And surely we lost a lot of languages. There's still 56 languages being spoken in Canada, and they say that many of them are in danger to die. But now we have help through the educational system and the government and people to change that, and they're teaching it in many universities and high schools, and and at the reserve level. So it's different. It's very, very different, and it's really for the best. This is the reason why I do what I do. It's to educate. It really became our responsibility, and so far I've made 50 films, and I've been making films for 50 years. And this last film that I made me, it was such a gift to me to know that I lived that long to see the difference, to see how beautiful it can be and how possible it is through the educational system. I'm very, very happy. And I'm 85 years old now. And I've done hundreds of schools, because before making films I was singing and going to classroom and trying to influence changes. Through my singing, at one time I was doing a campaign to build a swimming pool on my reserve for our children, because they were not welcome next door. And I thought it would be easy, but it didn't turn out to be easy. It was very difficult, but I managed to do it. And as I was campaigning and doing all kinds of things to raise money, CBC Canada did a half-hour film on what I was doing. And this appeared on television on prime time, called Telescope. And the film board saw it. And I was invited to go to the Canadian National Film Board of Canada and to meet with producers and directors. And finally, in 1967, I was given the first contract to do something for education with our own people, different nations. So this was so magical. I just knew nothing about film. And that's where I learned to make films, and really it was the best school in the world. And there were difficulties, but I managed to do all these films, and I just feel so grateful that the film board did support me all these years. Oh yes, I mentor a lot of people, and where we are now is different time too. We have our own TV channel called APTN. At the reserve level, there's many places where they have their own radio station, and we have a lot of young people who are doing videos and work at the station in all kinds of departments and are learning to make films, and it's a very exciting time. Lots of young people. Everybody wants to make a film. So, it's wonderful, and they're teaching it in many of the universities. You can have special courses, and it's happening. Yeah. Bush Lady, lift up your head from that cold sidewalk. This is your no one talking to you.